Charlie Adkins, and live here in Stove Bottom. In fact, we lived about 250 yards from here on up in an old coal company house, two-story house. Well, I was 11 years old. Stayed upstairs in a bedroom, and my grandpa always goes out on the porch, gets newspaper, and that's when the water hit the upper end of the hill and shot 40, 50 foot straight up in the air.
Oh, wow.
And they've heard for a long time about the dam, and he come in screaming and hollering, the dam's busted, get the hell out of the house. So we took off. I ran down the steps, so I was the first one out the door. I got outside toward the gate, and I saw water coming around one of the houses, and it scared me to death. I froze. My aunt, who was a junior in high school, come out. She grabbed me and took off. We was running. Water started hitting us. We made it to the railroad tracks, and then it started dragging us over probably 10, 15 foot high. Lo and behold, a guy who was dropping the coal cars tied himself to the coal cars and was jumping in and saving people and trying to get people to the side of the hill, pushing people upside the hill. People was going under and drowning. In fact, I was all the way to the bottom. My aunt was to the bottom. He grabbed her by the hair of the head, me by the shoulder, walked us, how you would bob up and down to get over, threw us up on a hill. In fact, I ran out with pajamas, t-shirt, and house shoes. When I got up to the top, I had a muddy t-shirt. Everything else was pulled off. We got up there on the hill and got a place and we sit down. Covered, we was as black as can be, mud everywhere. And turned around and started watching what was going on. And have you ever laid at a beach, just close your eyes and listen to the waves coming in and hitting? That's what that sounded like. People screaming on the beach, all that loud screams are playing. You hear all that loud screams, people dying and trying to get out of there. Wow. And we sit over there for a while watching, and there was a house beside our house that you see the waves hit it, started moving it, knocked it off the foundation. It turned and was going down in the middle where the creek is, and just so happened it clipped the back of our house. It started turning and come off foundation and followed it down the stream. We never did see it no more where it went to. While we were still up there was two houses above where we was at, and they knocked them off the foundation. And as they were going by, there were people in it screaming, hollering, trying to get out of it. We knew them and didn't know what happened until we knew after the flood they all was killed. There was 10 of them. And it was probably 20, 25 foot high from hillside to hillside. And it was just like a big ocean. That's all you watch, bloody water, muddy everything, cars going by, wood going by, it didn't matter. All of a sudden it started going down enough where people who survived made it to houses that were still there, and there was one big one where we went. It was our grandma and uncle's house. There's probably 40, 50 people in there. We got cleaned up, and they got whatever clothes they can get for us. Rummaged all the food that they had, canned food. People went to other houses rummaging through them. About the edge of dark, somebody hollered one of the other dams had busted. So we didn't know. And then they said it was on its way, so we all take off running upside a hillside. We were up there till 9 o'clock at night. It never happened, so we decided to come on out and stay out there. And from there, I don't remember a whole lot what took place from there. But I do remember the next morning, my dad and a bunch of the men there decided to go see if they could find anything and help anything. Of course, I'm 11 years old and I'm a noser and crap. I follow them out. And right where we was at in the fence was a body. And it was lodged, the fence was lodged all the way to the bones, to the guy, little boy. It took forever. And then when they cleaned him off, it was a kid I grew up with, went to school with, played with him. He was always at our house. So that was a shell shock. Yeah. And then I kept following them. Dad didn't really say nothing. Then we found two bodies over by what used to be a bridge. It was an older woman and an older man. They pulled them out. And that's when my dad turned around and told me to get home. And didn't want to, so I kind of stayed back and followed instead. And then they went up, there's a railroad trestle, and I mean, it was jammed plumb full of garbage. As much garbage as you can call. They heard a baby crying. And there was a car lodged into the trestle. The mommy was crushed and already dead. The baby's in the back seat. It is just covered all around that baby seat, but not in the baby seat. The baby just got wet. So they got it out. My aunt had cerebral palsy, was in a wheelchair. She was probably in her 40s. My dad and them went, when the flood happened, to try to get everybody out, get my grandma and all them out of the house. She couldn't go because she's in a wheelchair. And they left her, pushed her in her bedroom, shut the door. When they went to get her to check on her, the house had been moved, water everywhere was flood. Opened the door and there was no water inside the bedroom. So that's one miracle that I know for a fact. I mean, I saw it.
Yeah.
And we stayed another night. That's when state police walked up and told them we had to walk out of the hollow because people were waiting for us at Kelly Mountain. And that's probably 4.5 miles from here. When we walked down the railroad tracks, we seen 4 or 5 more bodies. And the old men took them out, took them side of the road, fixed them up, and all the garbage is unreal. It was just like a bomb hit the whole bottom. And we made it down to Kelly Mountain. Her mom and stepdad was there and took us. And from there, I don't remember nothing for a couple weeks until we moved back here. It was just like a shell shock, remember everything, and then forget everything.
Yeah.
But they was 12 people was killed in this bottom.
Wow.
And there was 21 homes, I think, destroyed. Out of about 30. So, for a long time, when it rained hard, she was scared to death. And made us scared, and she put shoes over by the door, just in case, again. So, I guess that's where that PTSD come in. We're crazy anyways. When we left, I was already gone with my aunt. She came out behind us. My dad came out. She takes off running back into the house. He's trying to grab her and pull her back out. So she's got to go get the purse. She grabs the purse and comes out. The water's 5 foot deep already in the yard, swinging. Dad fights pulling her, and they get her to the railroad tracks. She's still holding on that purse. It gets away from her and slides with her hand on it, lodges underneath the railroad tracks with her arm. And the water is going over top of her. And her face is down inside where that railroad track is, holding on that purse. My dad's laying on top of her. And the water's 10, 15 foot over top of him. She never let go of that purse. And it completely covered them, ripped all their clothes off too. But where where she was underneath that railroad tracks, there was an opening there with oxygen.
Yeah, like a pocket.
And I don't know what happened, but that's how they were saved.
That's amazing.
And everything in the purse was ruined because of the water, but she still, in her mind, think keep hold of it. But we lost the house, everything in it, everybody's clothes, 2, 3 vehicles, and a bunch of animals we had. No house insurance. They had disability insurance, not full coverage on their vehicles. And then the coal companies rooked them so bad about money-wise, and they only barely got enough to get a down payment on a house.
Right, yeah.
And this was a slate dump. And they poured dirt all in here and there, filled it up. My mom and them bought it. And we went from there on it.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah. Enough to send me to college and get in trouble and graduate. I can remember being so black, like somebody just poured oil all over some mud. In school for a year and a half, we had to go to Mallory grade school for half a day. And then to Erling grade school for a while for half a day. That's all we went. Maybe 3 days a week, half a day for a year and a half. until they got Amherst Grade School cleaned out in Buffalo. Changed everything. And then they built this new road out here, bought everybody's property.
Yeah.
And it's not benefited nobody. As you know, on the other side of the hill is actually a regional road.
Yeah.
Anything else you got?
I think that's all. I appreciate you
All right.
sharing. And thank you.
You're welcome.